I'd love to bring up, and are you on the call, Greg? Take yourself off mute and stop doing the dishes.
I'm on the call, Sam. Can you hear me?
Great. Greg, I'm going to ask you, this guy's a master. Gregg Cohen's, one of my, Greg, I know how often do we talk on the phone?
Way too much, way too much.
Exactly. That's the answer I was looking for. We do talk way too much, and I've known Greg for about 3.5 years now, and I can, I'll tell you, Greg has just grown his business to an insane rate. I mean, they're closing one deal a week out in Jacksonville, Florida. Just a great guy. Greg, if you're looking at this computer screen, he's right here. This is Greg, so I had to point him out here. I don't have his face circled. But it's just a very successful student of ours who has created literally a mini empire down there in Jacksonville, Florida. One of the best people that I know who implements systems in his business and a pipeline. So, Greg, I know you guys are just killing it right now in today's market and loving what you do. I know, how old are you, 26, 27? I can't remember.
26.
26 years old. He's averaging one closing a week right now. It's pretty, it goes to say, if anybody's on the call, I can tell you every single one of you on the call probably has more business experience than what Greg started out with. So if this is somebody who just built an empire down there. Greg, why don't you go through, and I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Chris. If you were to start your business all over again, what is the one thing that you would probably pay more attention to or do a little differently?
Well, that's easy for me to think about. When we started the business, all of the education that we had was all about learning how to do real estate. But just like you said, once you learn how to do one deal, you can pretty much do 100. And so, thinking back to that time when I was so wanting to learn so much about how to put a transaction together, I wish I would have focused more on actually building pipelines, building systems, to build my business, because to be honest, we've been in business for about 4 years now, and I never really put a systematic approach to a pipeline until basically probably about a year ago. And over that year, we've been able to just absolutely take our business to another level, and it's because of all the things that you talked about. It's about removing yourself. It's about setting up key milestones that all of your buyers or your sellers or your private lenders, every single pipeline is full of key milestones that people reach. So the first thing to do that I wish I would have done is to set up this pipeline, understand the key milestones that everybody reaches, and just like on the slide here, this is a slide of my retail buyers pipeline. And in the retail buyers pipeline, it's full of 11 key milestones. And every time we sell a property, every single one of these buyers hits these milestones. And so you can see here that there's 3 or 4 there that are shown. The initial application is completed. We either find out if they're approved. If they're approved, they go to the next milestone. If they're not, they fall back into some sort of follow-up campaign, maybe a credit repair campaign. And each one of these key milestones has marketing that is dedicated just to the people in that milestone, in that stage. And when you do things like this, your marketing improves, but more importantly, you're able to run your business. You're able to make better business decisions. You're able to have more confidence in your business decisions because you can see how many buyers you have in stage 5, how many buyers you have in stage 1. Well, if stage 1 is really lacking buyers, then hey, I got to get out there and fill stage 1. And if I'm having trouble moving people from stage 4 to stage 5, then what's going wrong? Why am I not being able to do that? And when you think about your business like this as a series of pipelines, it just sort of blows you away because
give us a sense real quick. Walk us through, if you could do it in 1 minute or less, describe this retail buyer pipeline and when you take an application, how it all works.
Yeah, well, the way it works is of course we try to make it as automated as possible. So before we ever meet and spend any of our personal resources, our human resources on a buyer, we want to know if they have a chance to buy the property. If somebody isn't creditworthy, we are not going to spend any time, any human time on talking with them because it's a complete waste, and we can be using it to do other things in our business. So what we do is we try to make it as automated as possible to find out if people are creditworthy, if they're pre-approved to buy a home. And from that point, then it becomes you spend more human capital, you spend more human resources on actually closing the deal.
Gotcha. So what you do is, as people come in, you manage this whole process with a database, which is, the same thing that we tell all of our students is everything that comes in, every person you make contact with has to go into your database. They have to be categorized in some way. And then when you're basically managing numbers. And you guys, I love what you guys have done here, creating these milestones and walking through visually. Each step, if somebody comes in and they're not pre-approved, well, guess what? They're not a dead lead. There's still value there. There's just not value to the point where you spend time with them. What you do is you put them into an autoresponder campaign. You give them information about either how to repair their credit or get a co-applicant on the. I mean, you can see basically here from the pipeline that you've created. And these are all things that come in, and it's just a beautiful thing when you create it and it goes that way. I'll tell you what, Greg, one of the things that impressed me most about you, tell them very briefly about what you guys are doing in Jacksonville specifically with credits.
With credit in terms of buyers?
With your buyers, and you guys are working with the city and home buying programs there, is that correct?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the thing we're doing specifically to sort of set us apart and to make our home sell faster is we're offering a lot of value to our retail buyers by working with the city and with the state to get them grant money. So when some buyer comes to us, they're not responding on advertising about 123 Main Street. They're calling us because they saw an ad that said, get up to $25,000 of Jacksonville homebuyer grants. And so what we do is we corral a farm of interested, approved retail buyers who are hungry for this Jacksonville homebuyer grant money, and then we merely match them with our homes, which obviously we can get the homebuyer grant money for on all the homes. And this was a total change from what we used to do in the past. But once we started to do this, it made all the difference for our business.
And I'm going to show you guys real quick. He tracks everything in his business right here. You can see right now, he just showed me this. I had him shoot me over a couple slides. I mean, right now they have 32 retail buyers. These are people who will pay full market value for the property. He's got 32 buyers in his pipeline right now ready to buy deals once he brings them to the table. I mean, it's a beautiful thing that he has, that he uses within his business. I mean, would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, to be honest with you, that's only stage one. There's still 10 other stages where we have buyers in every other stage too. But this is where it starts.
It's pretty sweet. Well, I appreciate you being on the call. I know you guys have just done a bang-up job, and I want to thank you, for really truly building your business and building it out to something that I think is a pretty impressive business to model. So it's pretty impressive what you've done, Greg.
Hey, thanks, Dan. And to be honest, I mean, it wouldn't have been possible without learning systems from you. Because when I met you 4 years ago, when I had never done a deal, the first thing you always talked about was building systems. And when I finally got that through my thick skull, it sort of changed how I looked about this business. And this business is no different than any other business. But I really thank you so much for impressing systems upon me. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it very much. Let me go